but this is a Spanish thing. Like whenever somebody has like a girlfriend, like they get more like into that girl, right? Like, or if the girl has a boyfriend, then like the girl suddenly becomes much more attractive.
That's in everywhere in the world, no, Adam?
Not in Sweden, man. No.
Yes,
Bro,
Adam is like
it's even a higher challenge, you know?
like Adam.
Well,
Adam is a
And
Swede, and in
people
Sweden
think
everybody is
then,
perfect.
wow, people think, wow, there's actually something special about this person, I want some of the cake as well.
Fuck, I'm talking to you guys.
Hello, business people of the world. Today is Tuesday, June 13th, 2017, and welcome to Business Tribulations, where we talk about business and economic events from around the world. And today is a really hot day in which we will be discussing the British election. We talk about how the results will affect the markets and Brexit. The video game business. In honor of E3, we will throw in some numbers and talk about what makes video games such a big market. So, let's begin with the British election. So, we're looking at the results that came in was that Theresa May in the Conservative Party actually lost her majority and was forced to create a government in minority with, I think, with help of the how do you call this, the
DUP.
EUP, yeah, and well, this means that for Brexit, this is not going to be very well. I mean, she was pushing for a harder Brexit, and now she's not going to have. It's not going to be as easy anymore. Now she's not going to have such a good backing in Congress, meaning that they're going to have to push for a softer Brexit.
Yes, that's correct. I mean, thanks for summarizing everything. That's pretty accurate. I mean, the funny thing about it is Theresa May was really confident, and her main goal was actually to build on her already a majority that she had with this election to make it a landslide victory in order for her for her Brexit plan to go through uncontested. Now, however, as you all have witnessed, she has even lost seats, and I think if you remember or recall from our last time, we made some projections, and I think all of us thought she would at least win a few seats, which was not the case. She in fact lost her majority, as you correctly said, Alonso. Now
Alonso is 2 for 2.
Thank you. I mean, I guess this was foreseen in a sort of way because of the. I mean, we knew that she would. We did actually say that she would lose some seats, but we still thought that she would get majority, didn't we?
Exactly.
Yeah,
yes, that's correct.
but she didn't in the end, and I guess she lost all of these seats because, well, I think mainly because of the terrorist attacks, and
Well, there were several reasons actually why she lost, and she had before 331 seats before the election, so that was already a slight majority, and she lost 13. I think what surprised a lot of people was the large turn up of young voters who got asked to come to the polls because they were actually attracted by a completely different reason. It was about tuition fees being freed up if they would vote for the Labour Party and everything. So this really created a wrong image of what this vote is actually about, if you understand what I mean. So because of these different agendas that were marketed more, and Theresa May disability, let's put it like this, to foresee this attack from the other parties. Here we have the result. I mean, now after the votes, a lot of people were asking her to actually step down from her job, her role as prime minister. But I personally think, and it's also, I think, in the interest of the EU and the UK for now, that she remains and travels to Brussels in the next coming days to start the Brexit negotiations.
Well, I think that it kind of also a huge there was a huge young voter turn up thanks to the fact that the people wanted, like, there wasn't such a big young voter turnout for the referendum, and so it's kind of their way to redeem themselves and to get like a softer Brexit, because the Labour Party was pushing for a softer Brexit as well. And
Yes,
also
that's correct.
the Scottish Party, the EUP.
Okay, so Alonso, could you explain a bit what a softer Brexit means?
Well, I mean, Theresa May wanted to sever completely the relationship with the EU, market wise, and also, well, geographically wise, and politically wise, in terms of people being able to move in and out, and also businesses moving their markets through their product through the EU and everything. So this affected a lot the markets, actually, the British markets. And now she's gonna have to collaborate with people. She's gonna have to collaborate with people who don't want that to happen. They want to continue their relations with the EU. So I think I think this is also what happened, that people didn't want this to happen. They didn't want to completely sever their ties with the EU, which is like right next to them. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you're completely right. The problem is, I think, like, for now, all the parties are actually supporting a Brexit. Like, this is now uncontested, but as you correctly said, they want a softer Brexit. And to answer, or like amend what Alonso was saying, Adam, they basically are trying to cut, really, as Alonso said, all the ties. That means having their own jurisdiction again, leaving the European Union law system, to have leaving the single market. And this is quite a hard line, if you would say so. She also said she prefers to have no deal with the EU than a bad deal, and this remains to this date. And that's why people are trying to have a bit of a softer approach now, because as we have seen a rise in popularity of Labour Party and also other parties who are actually for a softer Brexit, they are asking Theresa May maybe to also consider a softer line in her approach. But she is carrying on with her quite strict plan, also to control, for example, free movement of people. So we'll see how everything turns out in the next couple of days when the negotiations start.
Well, the negotiations start at 23rd, so we'll actually be able to talk about that when they start. So I think it's quite interesting to see how it's going to turn out. I mean, there was quite a lot of speculation, and I guess, I mean, if we take a look at the markets as well, we can see that on Friday, the markets, the FTSE 100 index, went up more than 60 points after going down, during Wednesday and Thursday. And as soon as the election results came out on Friday morning, the markets opened with such a big rebound. So I don't know. My theory is that obviously there's not going to be such a hard Brexit, which is going to affect the markets a bit less. Also because before the elections and during elections, markets usually go down due to speculation and everything. And I don't know. Matthias also had this. You had your theory that it's probably that it was.
Well, the problem is,
yeah.
I think slowly, like this uncertainty makes, or at least in the market reflection, shows that it was a bit indifferent how the people reacted to it. The only effect that we saw was that obviously the British pound took a little dive after the election results
Took a little dive into the
results
beach.
came out.
Started summer early. Well, this is
Exactly.
actually gonna be bad for summer tourism countries like Italy or Spain or Greece. You know that they get all these Brits. You know, these Brits that go down there to get roasted. You know, into roast beef. And then they just and they spend all that money, which obviously it's worth much more than euro, and now it's not gonna be that easy. So it's actually going to be interesting to see how this is going to affect the tourism market around Europe. Actually, let's note it down for next time. Maybe during August we can take a look at how the markets have been going and
I
the
mean,
results.
after the election results, the pound took a steep drop of 0.02 pence
Really?
to the dollar, and then
Also the dollar, huh?
yeah, exactly.
I guess to
And
the euro
so
as well.
and now it's just and then it took actually another dip today and yesterday, even further
Wait,
down.
so do you guys know the results with the euro? Like, what was the volatility when
Let me
during the
check for you.
elections?
Give me 1 second.
So what do you?
So it
what-
was a 0.01 drop as well.
Where,
to the
where do
euro.
you, where do you think this
Euros.
happens, Adam? I mean, earnest opinion after everything you've been hearing right now. Adam has been has come back from China back into Europe. So welcome back, Adam. By the way, sorry
Thank you.
I didn't say it before. So now he's really jet lagged. So his participation in today's show is going to be actually a bit limited. If anybody is wondering, but give us a bit of your opinion, Adam.
Okay, so you have the British pounds against the euro. Like, I would guess that the British pound obviously depreciates against the euros. But this is such minimal movements that it doesn't really matter. Like, people are not really going to change their plans. Like in terms of tourism, I think, just because of there's a small volatility in the exchange rates. Like, normal people, they don't really care about this. I'm not sure if people even know about this.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, sorry.
So yeah, it kind of doesn't matter. But what matters, I don't think the exchange rates are that important in this case. They are very important for the companies, but that is going to be reflected directly into the index price. So there's no really, in this case, I don't think there's any need to really properly analyze the exchange rate movements when they're so small. We're talking about pence here, as Matthias said, right?
Exactly.
So yeah, this is important for. Okay, so this is a very long topic, but exchange rate movements, even for companies, are not that big of an issue because of the use of derivatives. So in terms of tourism, this is more important for the monetary policies because it's the central banks of each country that have to, like the ECB is probably pretty stressed about this, maybe, or the Central Bank of England. But like all these FTSE companies, they're so sophisticated at hedging their risk, the volatility risk, that it's not an issue. And as I said before, it's not that good for Spain, Greece, and for Italy, who uses the euro. Like the British pound is depreciating against the euro, but it doesn't matter that much. It's okay. Like, I don't think it's not that big of a variable to consider. Like a terrorist attack, for example, in in Spain would be much more like intense in terms of like less visitors.
Mm, depends. I guess it depends on the city and everything. They've actually been doing a lot of like increasing security, not only against terrorism but also against robberies and thefts and everything. So they're actually pushing to make it much more tourist friendly here in Spain, which wasn't actually bad before. I don't think a lot of people get mugged. I think they get mugged as much as normal people, like like locals do. But they're actually putting up security, especially in the places where there's more
In the
tourism.
subway.
Yeah, and the subways as well. Well, no, the subway is actually very secure. There's even less. It's actually much more secure to be in the subway than to walk alone in the road.
Really? So if
That's true.
okay, so let me paint up an example here and see if what you reply to this. Okay, so let's say that I
Well,
walk
let's
with
not get
100
too much
euros
off
sticking
topic.
out of my pocket.
What? What?
Let me just give you this. So let's say that I'm walking on the street in Madrid with 100 euros sticking out of my pocket. And then I stand in the subway on the train with 100 euros sticking out of my pocket. Like, in which scenario do you think somebody's going to take the money?
Well, I think that if you have 100 euros sticking out of your pocket, you deserve to be robbed, you little fucker. But obviously, this is not an example. But for example, you're much more likely to get mugged in the street than in the subway. Like mugged in the sense of like, give me your money, you fucker, on the point of a knife.
Also, petty theft is more common in the subway, but like, violent robberies or
Even petty theft,
theft
because
stuff.
there's cameras everywhere. So if there's petty theft, they probably got you on camera. So I mean, I guess it's even less likely in
Really?
the sub.
So, okay, so actually, like, it's more common that you lose the 100 on the street in Madrid or something like that
I don't
than
know.
in the subway.
Probably. I don't know. I haven't
Wow,
tried it out.
I
I
would have
haven't
never
tried it
guessed that
out, but
actually.
I'm actually gonna try it out. I'm gonna like just take a fake 100 euro bill and just walk around with it sticking out of my pocket and see if someone actually tries to take it. Well,
Alonso,
anyways.
don't do it, please.
So anyways, so do you guys have anything else to add about this topic?
I mean, as you say, it's still in development. Let's wait and see what comes in next few days. When
Well,
hopefully the uncertainty clears a bit. I mean, like this situation just shows also that the British population has no idea whatsoever what they want. They voted for a Brexit, but now again they're not so sure if they really want the Brexit. So let's see if this will settle.
well,
And
I think people didn't believe that Brexit was serious in the beginning, and now that they really realize that Brexit was serious, now they just don't want Brexit. You know.
yeah,
So,
maybe exactly, could be.
the voter turnout, was like very low for Brexit, wasn't it, or something like that?
It was lower than normal. It was like at 69% if I'm not mistaken.
And
For Brexit,
for
Brexit
Brexit,
it was
for
really
Brexit.
high. For this vote, it was lower.
Oh, that's strange. Well, then there is a lot of uncertainty for this topic. Maybe next week, if depending on how it develops, we will be able to talk about more. Let's move on to a very interesting topic for this week. I was actually interested, in honor of E3. We decided to talk about video games and the video game market. So if you don't know what E3 is, it's electronic, or something like that. What was the name? Fuck, Electronic
Electronic Entertainment
Entertainment Expo.
Expo,
Yeah,
exactly.
sorry. So yeah, in this expo, they showcase all these new video games that they're gonna be coming out during the year and during next year. The first half of next year. And while there's a lot of really good titles coming out, I'm a very a video game fan myself. Even Adam and Matthias are a bit of video game fans as well, but not as much anymore, unfortunately for me. And so we wanted to talk about a bit about numbers in video games. So video games is a huge market. It's actually numbered at around $108 billion around the world, and it's projected to increase about 6% each year. And we can tell that by what we can see, the main market in video games is mobile gaming, and then console and PC gaming, and also a bit of tablet and web games. And we can see from Newzoo, which is a web page dedicated to information about video games and market information about video games. The mobile gaming has been slowly taking over the PC and console position. And it's projected to take up 40% of the markets, while PC is only 19% of the markets, and consoles 28% of the markets. And as we can see, tablet it maintains itself, while the PC gaming and console gaming is going to reduce. Especially PC gaming is the one that's going to be much more affected, even though PC gamers are actually people who don't want to be involved with just simple casual mobile gaming. People who go for PC gaming are actually much more hardcore gamers.
So Alonso,
yeah,
I have to ask you: Are you a PC gamer, or are you console gamer?
Console.
I'm actually both. I play some strategy games on the computer and other kind of games on the PlayStation. So yeah, PlayStation, please sponsor us.
What games do you play, Alonso? What are your favorite games?
I'm actually a pretty big fan of Assassin's Creed, and they've actually announced the new one coming out in October, and they've announced it in E3, which looks kind of interesting. Well, actually, really interesting. They're like completely revamping after 2 years of that being stopped and everything. So it's interesting. And what I wanted to talk about is especially how video games were born. And so video games were born around in the 70s. It started with Pong, which was essentially you were playing against somebody else, and you were trying to get the ball across their camp. And this was one of the first video games, and it continued to evolve, going through all these all these consoles and video games and everything. And it also even like the first video game for the first mobile game was 1998, appeared in 1998, which was Snake, and it was sold along with Nokia mobile phones. And I guess this triggered people getting more involved with video games and everything. And we can kind of tell that now people who have started playing Snake, and people who started playing much more video games during the 90s and 80s, which is when video games became much more important, much more famous.
Even accessible.
Sorry, what?
Accessible. I think they just became more accessible to the people.
Exactly. Yeah, they
started. And like, I mean, like I think the biggest leap that we've seen in the whole gaming industry has actually been in the last couple of years. I mean, obviously since I mean, we all remember that we had our Sony Ericssons or Nokias that started to have, more games on it. But I think that the whole gaming industry and the mobile industry just exploded after the millennium, because with all the App Store, the Google Play Store, all the games suddenly became accessible to everyone, and at mostly a low price. And I think nowadays everyone can, or like most of the people own a smartphone, and the smartphones have become really affordable. Also, in contrast to a good computer, I think the computer or laptop prices have remained somewhat constant if you're looking for a gaming PC. However, a simple mobile game is easily played with a normal smartphone. So I think this really aided in the development of this market. And as you said, the trend is really pointing in that the PCs will lose market share, and that basically the whole mobile industry will gain from that loss.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess I also my guess is also that people who were gamers during the 90s and 80s, now they're like um, adults and they got a job and they don't have that much time to play video games, and so they're turning to mobile gaming, which is much easier, and you can just play in the subway or play whenever you have like a
Exactly.
second.
It's gaming on the go. It's
Yeah,
gaming
yeah,
on the. No,
exactly.
you're completely right with this.
Yeah. And I actually wanted to touch a bit about on the origins of video games, which during the 70s when it's just appeared, it was actually marketed for adults. They actually planned for adults to be playing these video games because they were also kind of expensive, and they didn't expect people to start buying these video games for their children. But they did, and so they started marketing video games for children in toy stores. And when they started marketing these video games in toy stores, they were faced with a problem, which was we either marketed for girls or we either marketed for boys. And so they decided, there was no like middle point. It didn't say that they had to be marketed for anybody, because video game stores during the 80s, they were divided into girls and boys, parts, because gender separation and all of that during those weird times. And so it was marketed for boys, and then it became predominantly a boys like thing. But nowadays we have a lot of girls. Actually, we have, I think 40% of gamers are girls. Actually, there's a girl at my workplace, and she plays video games as well. So it's quite interesting. And this is like a professional, that with a very high pay grade, who likes to play video games, in her house during the weekend. And it's like,
What does she play?
I didn't actually ask her. She said that she has a PlayStation and that she plays PlayStation. And I was like, wow.
So she's not part of the PC master race.
I don't know. Maybe she does have a PC. I don't know. Anyways, what do you guys like? PCs, or consoles. So anyway,
Okay, so
what do you think, Evan?
I'm all for the PC. I'm all for the PC. I'm Swedish, so obviously I grew up with like gaming. And I was doing it competitively for a while, if you guys didn't know that.
Yeah, you told us.
But yeah, that was a long time ago now. When I look back at like my gaming history, the games that I would like that I remember the most from is probably StarCraft. That was my first game. I've really been into RTS a lot, but I've also been into FPS. Specifically Counter-Strike. You couldn't like grow up without Counter-Strike in Sweden.
Going to actually here in Spain as well, you could go to the internet cafe and play Counter-Strike. Pay like
nice.
€3 and play for like an hour or something, which was pretty expensive, but not that much actually.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's been Counter-Strike, StarCraft, World of Warcraft, normal Warcraft, like a lot of Blizzard games actually. But then there
Amazing.
have been a few like PlayStation games. Like there are a few really good ones, especially in PlayStation 2. Uh, one that one that I really liked was Shadow of the Colossus. Um, Another one is called Kingdom Hearts. Actually, on E3 they're releasing Kingdom Hearts 3, which has been, like
Yeah.
everyone is like looking forward so much to that game.
And they actually in E3 they also announced Shadow of the Colossus remake.
So yeah, like these Japanese guys, they have been doing so many remakes now.
Yeah.
Like Kingdom Hearts have been completely, like it's been remade. Like every single like game that they release has been remade instead of making a third one, like a follow-up.
Yeah.
So they're just remaking like the games all the time, and I'm kind of tired of that, to be honest.
They're milking the
But yeah, like
cow.
they're milking the cow.
Yeah.
I'm still waiting for Half-Life 3, man. Like,
But that's not the Japanese, man. That's Steam. That's
yeah, I know.
actually yeah.
Yeah, I know.
I guess
But
one
yeah,
day,
I'm still
probably one
waiting for
day.
Half-Life.
I'm
Yeah, I
actually
mean,
waiting for Kingdom Hearts 3 as well, so
Nice.
I'm actually gonna get the like the remake because they sell you the whole package, like the 1, the 1.1, the 1.2, the 2 all together for like $20 on the PlayStation 4, so I'm actually gonna get it. I think.
Mhm.
Depends how much money I spend on
Well,
video
yeah,
games this month. Yeah, sorry.
I had, so yeah, like I'm almost exclusively PC.
Yeah.
Like
And
I
you
don't really do console at
and you
all.
Matthias.
yeah. Well, basically, sorry, I muted myself before. So, yeah, basically,
Classic.
well, I'm also like PC Master Race, for many, many years. I bought a console as well, PlayStation 2 I had. But in recent years, I've played a lot League of Legends, and I just want to throw in some numbers, how gigantically just alone this game has grown. And so basically, right now, the game is generating $150 million just per month. And World of Warcraft is still one of the biggest earners the biggest earner with 198 million US dollars. But like it's just immense how much money these games are making, how much revenue they're bringing in. And League of Legends has emerged as one of the biggest MOBA games
What can you
in
say?
recent
There's a
history.
lot of teenagers out there.
Exactly. I mean, esports has really become something to reckon with, guys. And
Absolutely.
also, I mean, if we just also look at the console numbers, if you guys recall the GTA release, Grand Theft Auto 5 was still till this date, I think the most successful game, and it has generated 1 billion revenue in just 3 days worldwide. You
What
have
about
to
The Sims? I have this weird memory that The Sims was like a really big earner as well.
Which one? The one that just
The Sims.
Where you build a house and like have a good time.
yeah,
Have a good time. I think that's the point of video games, Adam. But I mean, actually, yeah. And GTA 3 actually came out in 2013, and it's still generating a ton of revenue. From people buying in-game money and people, actually buying, the game for PC and for PS4. They're moving on to, people are selling their PS3s and buying a PS4, and they have to rebuy the video game for PS4, and it's crazy. It's actually, and they're still also generating free content for the online thing. So GTA 3 is
So yeah,
it's huge
actually, when you
marketing
talk
thing.
about the online thing, it's a
Yeah,
bit funny because I have a few friends who they don't really like the transition of like tangible games, like a CD that you can touch. They don't like the transition to online stores.
yeah.
What do you guys think about that? Like, I kind of liked having a collection of games when I was a kid. Like
I
something
still
that you could
do.
see
I
and
still
touch.
buy them the hard copy on Amazon.
Mm.
Yeah,
So
I
you're
mean,
living in the
guys,
past, Alonso.
yeah, but
check out Steam.
On
The
Steam,
whole
actually,
point
on
about
Steam, I have my copies on Steam as well. But for the PlayStation, still buy the hard copy. So yeah.
Yeah, so there's maybe the three of us should check out a game at Steam, like a cooperation game
Yeah,
that we could play,
that would be
three of us
cool.
together.
that would be really fun. That'd be really fun, actually.
So all the viewers can join us on, whatever game we choose. Maybe next week we will talk about what game we chose. So, yeah, actually, I wanted to also talk a bit about the fact, like the microtransactions. Instead of buying a whole game, you just download a copy for free, and then instead of playing it, or instead of having to play a lot to get to a really good level online, especially, you pay to become better. And so this is actually interesting because people have been getting so crazy about this. That's why also mobile gaming has become so big. Um, Actually, the company that generates the most revenue in Finland is the company that made Clash of Clans. So it's not Nokia anymore. You actually probably have it closest to you, Adam, all this information. And
They're called Riot or something, right?
yeah, no, Supercell.
That's League. Oh yeah.
Supercell they're called. This company called Supercell, and they actually only have 50 employees, and they got like a bunch in Finland, a bunch in Shanghai, and a bunch in New York, I think, and not more than 50 employees, and they're generating a huge amount of revenue. And I think mobile gaming in all these microtransactions are working because you're not paying a huge amount on one go. You're just paying tiny amounts, and these tiny amounts that you're paying out are getting reinforced with getting better content and being better at the game. So you're actually paying more to continue to keep up this effect that you're having of becoming better and winning more games and getting more content, and so it's interesting. It's hugely psychological. So I don't know. I wanted to ask you, what do you guys think? Is there probably another variable involved in this thing, in this whole business?
So I can answer that. So like I'll give you an example. I'm okay into Hearthstone right now. Like the trading
The
card
card,
game.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't have time to gather cards at all. Like, there's no way, and I'm never gonna like in. There's no way I'm gonna like farm cards like I did when I was a teenager. So, like I don't mind having um, a catch up mechanic, because I still believe that in the end game, there's still gonna be an equilibrium where it doesn't really matter like how much you purchased, but if it does, like, then it's probably a pretty shitty game. Like in League of Legends, for example. I've always been like Dota over League of Legends, but in League of Legends, you basically only buy skins and stuff like that, right? There's no real performance.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You can't like if you're a bad player, you're a bad player.
Yeah.
And in Hearthstone, for example, you can just like buy a bunch of cards and get a pretty good deck. But if you play, a few hours, then you can still get a pretty good deck. So you still reach like the saturation where it doesn't matter if you paid to play. But if it's a game where it does matter, then it's probably not a game worth playing anyways. Sorry about everyone getting pissed at that, but that's just how I think about it.
Like Clash of Clans, for example.
Very controversial opinion, but I think I actually have to agree with it. I'm not that much into mobile gaming. I'd still rather find an hour to play video games on my computer or on my PlayStation. So I guess,
I wanted to add that as well. Like this is mostly, sorry again, in shitty
Yeah.
games, like on cell phone games. But one thing that I don't like at all is that when you purchase a game and you have to keep playing for, like smaller expansions within the game itself.
yeah, DLCs. Yeah, that's very annoying.
Yeah,
I,
DLCs,
I,
exactly.
I never bought any DLCs. I hope I never have to. Honestly, it's sometimes the DLC is like an expansion, which is like a completely like much more content. Like a completely different game building on what's already there. And sometimes I have bought expansions, like for example The Sims. But now it's getting out of hand. They sell billion expansions. They sell a base game for $50, and then they sell like a bit more content for another $50. Before it didn't happen like that. It was much like the equivalent of the base content, but now they're just adding little things for a ton of money. But for example, The Witcher, which gained Game of the Year 2016, their expansion, their DLC was like a completely different game, like completely different world, a few new mechanics, a bunch new content, a whole new story, and it was actually people said it was actually worth buying it. But for example, Star Wars Battlefront, they're selling a bunch of stuff, like new
like an
maps.
extra map.
Yeah, an extra map for like a ton of money, which is not worth it in my opinion. And honestly, I have to pay that much, for like what should be the base game, then honestly I'm not gonna even bother buying the big game. But they actually said in E3 that Battlefront 2, will actually all these DLCs will be free, so it's actually interesting now.
I think the game looks amazing.
Yeah.
If you guys like the viewers listening right now, you guys should definitely check out some videos on YouTube on the new Battlefield game, Star Wars Battlefront game. I think it looks pretty cool. But that's what I thought about the previous. What was the latest Star Wars game called?
Battlefront?
But the new one that is releasing, what is it called?
Battlefront 2.
Battlefront 2.
Yeah.
And the previous one?
Battlefront?
No, but there's been Battlefronts before. But, you had, now it's EA that is doing the new Star Wars game, right?
Yeah.
Before you had a Swedish company called DICE that did the Star Wars game.
Yeah. But it was also, I think it was also called Battlefront or something like that. Star Wars Battlefront.
Yeah, I played Battlefront many times.
Yeah, me too, on PSP. It's actually very interesting. But anyways, so let's kind of close it out. What do you guys think about what I've been saying about, like the business of video games and everything?
No, I agree. It was really interesting to hear about. I was kind of familiar already with the story, but I think that a lot of viewers would find it interesting to hear about the history of video games and that sort of stuff. But I wanted to ask you, both of you guys, by the way, you wanted to talk about E3, right? And you have been talking about E3. So what is your top pick for the E3? What game are you looking forward to the most?
For me, I guess I think I was expecting The Last of Us 2, but they didn't talk about it. So I guess the one that I'm expecting the most is probably Assassin's Creed. I've been a fan from the first game, so we got to see what happens. What about you guys?
Kingdom Hearts.
Kingdom Hearts. And
yes.
you Matthias?
Yeah, I don't really follow it that much.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
But
I mean,
are you a fan of like any, mobile games or something like that?
Well, I still follow like League of Legends, the league. I watch it like football, basically.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, just also in closing from my side, I think a lot of people underestimate how much money is in gaming, especially nowadays. Not only in mobile
Matthias,
gaming, yeah.
Do you know a player called Chaos?
Yeah, I know him.
Yeah, I actually play with him all the time. Yeah.
Stop, really?
Yeah, I have his Skype. Like, I play with him all the time. But I play Arena with him. I used to be competitive in World of Warcraft, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Wow, that's interesting.
Chaos, crazy. But like,
I played with him for many times before I knew even that he was a league player.
But he's not in league anymore on the big screen. Oh, he's finished. He retired from League of Legends.
He was doing some coaching stuff. Like, when I started playing with him, he told me he was a pro poker player, and I was like, okay. But then I found out like he was actually like past pro league player.
That's very
Chaos, exactly. He's from the US, right?
Yeah. but he's
Well,
Chinese.
born
Like,
Chinese, yeah.
he lives in China right now with his girlfriend.
Yeah, okay.
But
He's
I'm playing on Chinese server, so I play with him there.
Hey, fantastic! That is so cool. Crazy. Didn't know.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Wow,
really
Adam,
interesting.
you and the people you know, that's crazy.
So basically, you're a pretty good gamer in that case.
No, I don't like. I'm Swedish, right? So we game the house down all the time.
Yeah, but this. Okay, whatever.
Well,
That's
anyways.
that's why you're so strong in the EU leagues.
Oh, we suck at league, man.
Well, anyways, guys, let's close this
Yeah,
out.
we absolutely.
Let's close it out. Thank you for your participation, guys. It was a pretty
thank you.
interesting show.
Thank you very much.
And thank you, viewers, for listening. You will be able to read everything we talked about in the description down below. Also, consider subscribing to listen to the show the day it comes out. So, sorry, viewers. The E3 was actually.
You don't have
is
to
actually
say sorry,
starting
viewers.
today.
It's okay. Alonso, it's okay.
It's okay, Alonso.
I'm gonna actually, pre-edit edit it and like just insert it just there. Say,
Hey, you
sorry,
hear
I
me
fucked
laughing.
up.